Hello and welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the podcast for marketers, digital transformation champions, and those of you bringing your skills into the digital age. I'm Joanne Sweeney-Burke, and this podcast is brought to you by Digital Training Institute. In this episode, number 81, the first of 2018, I discuss how PR departments need to evolve into digital newsrooms. Coming up in today's show, in social media news, Facebook releases a study on mobile video techniques, connecting Facebook and WhatsApp with ads, and Snapchat introduces Lens Studio. I interview PR agency owner and digital PR practitioner Kathryn Mason. In Shoutouts, 3 digital newsroom case studies, Ask JSB, in JSB's column, how to transform your PR department into a digital newsroom, and find out what digital PR tool could save your working week this year.
Social media news.
Facebook has published a new study which examines the effectiveness of traditional video approaches, for example TV ads, when looking to reach modern mobile consumers. Working with Metrics Lab, Facebook studied 759 video ads from 300 plus brands across 9 sectors in 25 different countries. They then categorised these ads to understand key characteristics. In a blog post, Facebook said, "We discovered that ads created for mobile first stand out on Facebook and Instagram and perform better across a range of different metrics." Interestingly, but perhaps not surprising, mobile first ads are watched for longer and are more memorable. They also found that brand presence in the first 3 seconds significantly improves brand recall. You can read the full study on the blog post associated with this podcast at digitaltraining.ie. Facebook has launched a new ad unit that will let businesses create a link between Facebook and WhatsApp. Advertisers in some markets can now include a button on their ads so that people can call or message via WhatsApp with a click of a button. This feature, however, is not in Europe because of data protection regulations which prohibit it sharing data cross-platform. But that's not to say that it won't eventually happen. Facebook tells us that there are more than 1 million Facebook pages already including WhatsApp numbers in their posts each month. This implies that there is already a pipeline between both platforms which can be used to greater effect. Lens Studio is a new way for anyone to create lenses for the Snapchat community. The 2D animations can be created by downloading Snap Inc.'s free desktop tool for Mac and Windows. They also supply users with easy-to-use guidelines. Once your lens is complete, you'll be given a special snap code that you can share anywhere, which anyone can scan to unlock your lens. Download Snapchat's free tool at lensstudio.snapchat.com.
Interview.
In this episode, I interview Kathryn Mason, owner of Kathryn Mason PR and Marketing, a boutique agency specialising in the entertainment, retail, sports and festival and events sectors. Kathryn has a career spanning over 27 years in the entertainment industry, including being in charge of marketing Westlife from their very beginnings. Recognising the ferocious rate of change in the digital sector in 2009, Kathryn completed a diploma in digital marketing awarded with distinction. In 2013, she gained a diploma in event management with public relations at the PRII. Kathryn is a current and very active member of the PRII. Kathryn, you're very welcome to JSB Talks Digital, the first show of 2018.
Thank you, and Happy New Year to you and all the listeners.
And same to you. Now, like myself, you've been in communications for most of your career, but how has the profession changed with the arrival of social media?
Oh, I mean, it's massively changed. Like, I'm actually afraid to admit, when I first started in PR, we had typewriters and fax machines, and we used to send out press releases by post. And I literally mean, I remember typing press releases and photocopying them and sending them out by post. And that was how quickly, if you really wanted to get something out fast, you might have sent a telex, but it was a fax machine otherwise. And I mean, now, like, you know, it's such, you have to have everything the minute you're ready to go. It's got to go on everything very quickly. There's no time to lose.
So given that change, are you finding that your clients also have different expectations in terms of digital age PR? Are they expecting more than just traditional media coverage?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of my big examples recently, I've been working with a retailer called Designer Exchange, and they're a pre-loved, mainly handbag but accessory store. And while initially, when they spoke to me, they were looking at getting more press coverage, and we did look at that initially, and we did do some in the likes of Business Post. The majority over the last 4 months have been online, and the results have been astounding. I mean, we did a piece, say, for example, with the Irish Independent for their business section, online only, not in print. And the article resulted in nearly 900 new Facebook likes alone for their page.
Wow. And also in terms of digital, the longevity that online PR gives is much better than a daily or a Sunday newspaper.
Absolutely. I mean, unfortunately, we all know daily newspapers are decreasing in coverage for any article now. They're becoming thinner, so there's less space, and it's harder to get in. Weekend papers then want to be more long reads and more features, which is great, but it's even harder to get in again because you've got so many different sectors competing for space. And, I think unfortunately, it's going to get even smaller because I suspect this year there's going to be more mergers in newsrooms, and I think there's going to be possibly maybe one or two less titles, sadly, by the end of the year in print.
So obviously when it comes to a PR campaign, that used to involve mainly just a press release and a captioned photograph. But how are you approaching now your digital PR campaigns? And obviously I'm thinking about PR and press advisors who maybe are working in organisations. So give them some advice as to what's required from a digital PR campaign perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you have to have your ducks in a row now before you go near anything. You've got to have everything from your images to, your quotes. If it's going to be something, if it's, say, for example, I might be working on an awards show. You want maybe some quotes from different people to do with the awards. You need them ready to go and captioned, and even photographs of those people now. Video, got to deliver a piece of video content. A lot of clients kind of go, oh, it's expensive. But newsrooms now expect all these little pieces so they can make up their own features. You've got to have, as I say, those ducks in a row as regards your own social media. So when I'm doing something for a client, I'm also pushing it out there on my own social channels, and that be my business ones as well as my personal ones. It's that because, media are going to follow me because they know me. So I've got to amplify all of that. So you really have to think about having everything ready to go the minute you want to make an announcement. Now, you can't be waiting for, I'll get back to you with a quote. It needs to be there, and the newsrooms won't hold back. If they need something now, I mean, I've had journalists email me on a Sunday evening, and, it was where I learnt my lesson. They emailed me on Sunday evening, and I didn't see the email, and they were looking for a quote for Monday morning, and I just missed it. That was, a couple of years ago, and it learnt my lesson to just double-check if you've got something big coming out, make sure you're available or you have that quote ready, because they were looking for a quote, and I couldn't get the client on the phone in time for the piece.
And that's a really nice hack that you give around amplifying the client's message on your own profiles because the media are following you as a PR consultant. Have you any more of those great hacks that you can share with us?
Oh, well, I mean, something, this might sound ridiculous, but it's using their own socials. Again, a lot of clients have their own social channels, but don't promote that they're on a radio show or that they're going on in to visit X, Y, and Z, online digital or, press interview. So, they've got to use their own socials, because that amazes me still that people don't do enough of that. I think that's a very important one, and it's a basic one, but it's not a minuscule one by any means.
And I think now in 2018 that the lines of personal versus professional are so blurred that people needn't be so scared about sharing what they're doing in their business or in their profession on their personal profiles.
Not at all. I mean, if you just look at journalists now, I mean, I would follow a lot of journalists on something like Instagram. They're putting so much personal stuff, and you can see how much, like, you know, there was one I just spotted there over the weekend, and she had mentioned something about a tan. And this morning she put up another Instagram post from a PR company who sent in her tan products. You know, that's on her personal stuff. So, you know, the very, very clever PR company were straight onto their client saying, right, we're sending out a hamper now. And they did. That's where you kind of have to become part of, like, seeing what they do. And it's, again, it's that pitching. You know, you're pitching something that you know you've got a good audience that, you know, she was talking about tan. She was looking for new tan. Suddenly, there they go. Oh, look, there's a new tan product for you. That's
really interesting that you talk about journalists now on Instagram. You know, up to now it's been mainly Twitter.
Oh, so completely, yeah.
How digitally savvy do you think journalists are? Because that's important from a PR perspective as well.
I suppose, without sounding disrespectful, it is a bit of an age thing. Some are better than others. The younger media, I suppose, you know, who come in the last number of years are definitely more savvy and more interested in something like Instagram. It's just more visual, it's quicker. You know, Twitter is, I'm finding, is definitely still a journalist love it, don't get me wrong, and it's a great way to find them, but they are definitely migrating in certain areas of media. So I would say a lot of the female journalists who be writing in the beauty or fashion sector are on Instagram, and they're really big on Instagram. They might still be tipping away at Twitter, but not at the same level as they were. However, you might get one of the business journalists who's flying on Twitter, but doing very little, or, you know, maybe the odd family post on Instagram. So I think, you know, the day and age of saying, oh, just, you know, Twitter was for journalists, that's correct, but it's not anymore. It's, again, it goes back down to genres. So look at your audience. Who are you targeting? Where are they? You know, if you're, for example, if I owned a restaurant, I would be absolutely on Instagram looking at all the food writers, because they're all there.
And you make a very valid point that as the younger journalists come through, they didn't learn shorthand in their journalism course like
you know
I
that,
did.
Joanne. I was just going to say.
They're learning how to be multimedia journalists, and they're learning coding and, you know, graphic design.
But it's even like, you know, I was in a radio station this morning, and we were talking about this, like the radio, you know, producers, they've got to think about the package they put with the piece now, because it's most likely going out online within about 5 to 10 minutes of it being, you know, recorded. There's, you know, somebody maybe in the press office in, say, RTE, they're sending out clips to media all the time. So, you know, they've got to have all the, like, the little bit of video, the little bit of photos, you know, the little bit of blurb to go with it. It's not just about producing a radio program anymore, or producing a piece for a print, you know, or for even producing for television. They've got to have a little package ready to go. And that is, so if you can take that back as a client, if the journalists need that and the media need that, be ready with it.
So what one change would you like to see the PR profession make as a whole? And I'm talking about PR consultants, I'm talking about in-house press advisors. What one change would you like them to make in 2018 to ensure that the profession is keeping up to speed with the speed of change in social media and digital communications?
I suppose the one I've worked on very closely with the Pear Institute is our influencer guidelines. And it was something that, you know, I went to the Institute with. It's nearly 2 years ago now, and they took on board, and we worked together, and we produced some guidelines, which I'm really proud of. And before I go any further, I do want to say it's not to stop influencers. It's not that at all. What I just want is more transparency. And I think going forward next year, my biggest wish within the profession is regard still influencers, but more so on the fact of looking at who they're using, PR professionals. You know, it's all very well having X amount of, you know, followers on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook, whatever. That's great. But are they the right people for your brand and for your client? And that, for me, is the key thing, because I'm just seeing a lot of the same people. Again, no disrespect to them, and they're right. They're out there making money, absolutely. But as a profession, we need to just look at our clients more closely and think, are these people the right for what I'm doing?
And those guidelines are excellent, and they were the very first piece of guidance that the industry got. And I think the industry needs that guidance. And you're absolutely right.
Scare people. It's not about scaring, and it's not about kind of falling out, you know, or kind of doing this. So, you know, we don't want you to be charging us. That's not it, because they're doing a job. That's absolutely fine. What I personally, and you know, where I came from was I just wanted more transparency to the public, so they knew what was. I mean, you know, if you open a magazine, you know what's an ad. it's very obvious what's an ad. If you open a magazine and you see something that says advertorial, you know that's been paid for. I have no issue, and I still read those articles. And I think most of the general public do. But I think it's just one of those things where we just needed to be more transparent on.
And finally, Kathryn, is there a campaign that you've worked on that integrated traditional PR methods and digital age tactics beautifully? And before anybody thinks that I don't love traditional media, I absolutely do.
Oh,
and I think they work best when traditional and digital come together.
Absolutely. I mean, I suppose one of the ones from 2017 that I worked on, I'm really proud of, was a program for Tishigaher, and it was called Flat TV. So I was working with the production company. So I did all the publicity for the program. So leading up to it, it was very publicity heavy. We had kind of got to, I managed all of the social media as well, but we kind of got to a plateau with our social media. But what we decided to do was really focus on the program. We had one of our presenters was Hector this year. We had Mairead Nakui from Tishigaher as well. And we focused initially getting that whole profile on offline. So we worked with Hector doing press and media interviews and Mairead. And then we got them to do a lot of little short videos for online, which was a countdown and working. And then, I mean, I think by the end of the campaign, we'd had something like 2.5 million views on Facebook. And this is for an Irish traditional music program over 3 nights in Flacchio, which pretty happy with.
That's amazing. And it just goes to show you that by integrating traditional and digital, and you said that social had plateaued and you knew back to traditional to kind of up the ante. It's a great case study. Kathryn Mason, always a pleasure. Pleasure to talk to you.
It's a pleasure to be back as well.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And if you want to find out more about your work, where can people go? And of course, include your social networks there too.
Most certainly. My website is kathrynmason.ie, and I always tell my mother it was very difficult when she was spelling Kathryn. It's KATHRYNMASON.ie. Then I'm Kathryn Mason PR on Instagram, Kathryn Mason PR on Twitter, and then it's Kathryn Mason PR Marketing on Facebook.
Brilliant. Kathryn, thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.
Shoutouts.
In this part of the show, I give shout-outs to brands, organisations or individuals whose work online is remarkable and worth talking about. In this episode, I'm giving shout-outs to 3 organisations who have mastered their digital newsrooms.
1.
The National Health Service in the UK has a very user-friendly digital newsroom on their website. My favourite features include: you can use filters to show only news items that match your interests. They have news-only content. They have tagging features, which allows you to view relevant news stories. And they use internal hyperlinking very well to link to other relevant content. You can view their digital newsroom at www.england.nhs.uk/news.
2.
The New York Police Department has created subsections within its digital newsroom on its website, which offers a great user experience. The subsections include press information, press releases, traffic advisories, statements, speeches and testimonies, requests for media attention, media credentials, and interview requests. They also have useful social sharing options to Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and email. Find out more at nyc.gov.
3.
I particularly like the digital newsroom from the University of Oxford. They have niche areas for communications and news professionals broken down as follows: events, science blog, arts blog, Oxford and Brexit, news releases for journalists, filming in Oxford, and Find an Expert. Their Find an Expert search function is super, and it's exactly what large organisations should be providing to journalists and content creators. Find an Expert offers journalists quick and easy access to Oxford academics who may be able to help them. Find out more at ox.ac.uk/news-and-events. And of course, I have links to all 3 digital newsrooms and their case studies on the blog post associated with this podcast at digitaltraining.ie. In this part of the show, I allow my listeners to ask me questions. Don't forget, if you have a burning social media or digital marketing question, you can leave me a voicemail at digitaltraininginstitute.ie/askjsb, or you can ask me a question by contacting me on any of my social networks. Today's question is from Sharon Campbell, Deputy Director of Communications at Trinity College Dublin. She wants to know, what do journalists expect from a digitally agile PR team? Hi Sharon, and thank you so much for your great question. Well, I can categorically say from experience that journalists have greater expectations from press advisors right now. They not only want a complete press release and a high-resolution caption photograph, they also want digital assets for their websites. Remember, news websites have no hourly or daily deadlines. News websites have requirements to fill their pages with stories on an ongoing basis. So, the digital assets that I'm referring to include audio soundbites, videos from subject matter experts, low-resolution tagged photographs with metadata, and also internal links on your press release. Make sure that you take advantage of the opportunities in the world of digital PR, and the journalists will thank you for it.
JSB's column.
In today's JSB's column, I outline how PR departments can transform into an agile digital newsroom seamlessly. I work with organisations and communication teams who have different KPIs, and this is where the problem starts. A PR manager strives for traditional media mentions. A digital marketing executive is focused on web traffic. The digital content creator is hoping for increased lead generation, and the marketing manager might have one eye on organisational goals. Already, we have an issue: communication silos. So here are my top tips to transform your PR department into a digital newsroom. Number 1, organisational buy-in. The first step to transform is to ensure that everyone involved in communications understands why this needs to happen. I am assuming that management at this stage also support this, but often you can get pushback from individual team members who feel their workload will increase or their positions are threatened by digital age skills and technology. Number 2, you need to align teams and workflows. An audit of existing team workflows needs to be undertaken to assess who is doing what and when. Next, you need to understand data-driven news production. The corporate news of your organisation will always be prioritised, but are you digging deeper to assess what your customers or service users want? Are you analysing search on your own website? And are you undertaking industry keyword research to assess what users want to know? Data-driven news production is the future as news becomes more commoditised. Number 4, the online newsroom on your website. You must reflect the transformation of your PR department on your website. Take inspiration from my 3 case studies in the Shoutouts section of this podcast. Next, you must have multimedia content. News is more than a press release in the digital age. It's a topic hashtag, an audio soundbite, a subject matter interview, or a piece to camera with an expert. It's a live stream press conference, or it could be a series of SEO-fueled photos and blog posts. Next, you have to repurpose the press release for search engines. Writing a press release for a journalist is very different to writing a press release for Google. Your press release must be repurposed for digital distribution before publishing it on your website. You need to start with keyword-rich headlines that appeal to Google more than it appeals to a print journalist. And finally, software. Software as a service will become your digital best friend when scaling your PR department in the digital age. You need software to undertake social listening, brand monitoring, keyword research, and performance and reporting. This is only a brief introduction to digital transformation for in-house communications professionals. If you would like consulting or training on how to transform your PR department into a digitally agile newsroom, then get in touch. Simply email me to joanne@digitaltraining.ie. The tool that will save many weeks for PR professionals is Meltwater. Meltwater is a PR and social media monitoring tool that allows managers to interact on social media, create content, track competitors and emerging stories, and then measure the results of their efforts. For PR professionals, Meltwater will help you find the best journalists to amplify your message, generate presentation-ready reports, share internal news using branded newsletters, and easily review the latest media coverage when you're on the go with Meltwater mobile app Smart Alerts. Find out more at meltwater.com. And of course, Meltwater last year announced JSB Talks Digital, the blog, as one of the best marketing blogs in Ireland. Thank you so much for tuning in to episode 81 of JSB Talks Digital, the very first show of 2018. As always, I have everything discussed on today's show on my award-winning blog at digitaltraining.ie. If you haven't yet subscribed and you want to, you will find JSB Talks Digital on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Libsyn, Stitcher and SoundCloud. And of course, all the show notes on my website. Don't forget to send me your questions or your topic ideas on social. Tweet me to @tweets by JSB. On Snapchat, you can snap me to JSB Snaps. I'm JSB Grams on Instagram, and our Facebook page is Digital Training Institute. I'm Joanne Sweeney Burke. This is JSB Talks Digital. Thanks for listening, and I'll talk to you soon.
JSB Talks Digital.